It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog. The blog segment. What do you want me? I don't have an introduction, but we just did that introduction.
So
you usually just go right in.
I know. I put you on the spot.
You got me.
So
before we do, we want to thank everybody who came out to the Sweet Night Out event.
Yes.
On Saturday, not this Saturday, but it was last Saturday. We were at the Bulls game. We had the Team Hochberg Center Suite.
This is going to be a great time.
Pictures are on the Facebook page. Yes. Go to the Trust Radio Network.
We had a great time. Page. Great time. A lot of trusted professionals.
And you guys, guess what? Hey,
it becomes a Hochberg commercial.
Hey, we're going to be doing another event up there in February. So you guys might be able to win some tickets.
Okay, so but before let me go into my
do your thing. I just wanted to mention.
Let me talk about my blog segment because I'm going to run out of time and I'm not going to be able to tell you about this. So I'm going to tell you about a client that we have. They own a business and they've been.
You help a lot of people with small businesses.
Well, that's generally who I help. Yes, and they have a business and they've been running their business. They've been doing fairly well, but again, like many of my clients, they have this block about tax returns, and so they fell way behind on their tax returns. They haven't filed in some time. Now, because they run their own business and the IRS doesn't really keep track of them because they don't have 1099, so the IRS doesn't know what they're making. So the IRS isn't really coming after them. And you could think, well, that's a good thing, then why would you do anything? The thing is it's a crime. Right, and so you have this, if you are making money and you're not filing your tax returns, not filing tax returns itself is a crime. Avoiding taxes or evading taxes, well, that's a different crime. That's another crime. And so they're trying to get back into good graces. And it's like a lot of people when they fall behind 1 year or 2 years in their tax returns, right? They get very frightened because they don't know what to do. Well, how am I going to do? How am I going to solve this problem? Okay, so that's what we help them with. Now, again, as I mentioned, they've had a business. They paid down their mortgage almost completely, so they have a lot of equity in their home, enough to probably pay the IRS everything that they owe. But the problem is if you go ahead and you file your tax returns and then you're not prepared, and next thing the IRS will do is they're going to slap a lien on you, and you're not going to be able to get a loan, a mortgage, in order to access that equity so you can pay the IRS. It's so important. And that's funny because I was this is turning into a David Hochberg commercial because we're working with Team Hochberg, with this client to refinance, and David and I are working together to time this correctly so we can so we file the tax returns so they get processed, because sometimes it takes the IRS a long time to process old tax returns. So you file the tax returns. They have to get processed by the IRS, because when your mortgage company is going to do a search, they're going to see if what you've told the returns that you provided, if they're accurate, because of all the fraud back in the day, right? So they go back and they get this, I think it's a 45 something T, the form, and gives them permission to go look at your tax returns. So they better be processed in the IRS when you apply for this loan. And so we have this short window where they've been processed. The loan is in the works. There hasn't been a lien set against them yet, and so they can access the equity in their home. So it's all a concentrated effort to make this happen.
It's the same as buying homes, right? It's the same concept. There's always just these moving pieces that really need to be timed out correctly. You have to have the right team behind you. It's great that you're working with Team Hochberg, because again, I know that I've sent a couple of my clients over to them, and they have done top-notch work and really have gotten the ball rolling for a lot of my clients.
The thing is that we work so closely together that I know all of his all those members on his team, and they're all very well qualified at what they're doing, and we communicate. Okay, so they're in touch.
The communication is key with any real estate. If you're refinancing, if you're purchasing a new home,
exactly.
Communication is key, because it really is time of the essence.
And with this, we're putting in another layer, which is IRS problems.
Yes.
Okay, so now you have to kind of weave all this together in order to overcome
and
this
that
problem.
is such a big issue too. It's such a big hump to jump over, especially when it comes to the timing. Again,
Okay.
how long does it usually take for these issues to be resolved? Like when you file the taxes, what is the time frame?
Well, again,
usually?
the good news is that even though they had a number of years behind them, all they have to do is produce 17 and 18 tax returns. So those are. Those we can still file electronically, so they don't get all bottled up in the processing. Because if I send a 15 or 2014, 2015 tax return to the IRS, they're no longer electronic, so I have to send them. They have to get processed. They go to a different place, and it takes a long time for I'm telling you, months. I've had people where we've provided, we file the tax return, and it's 6 months or 7 months later, and they still haven't been processed by the IRS.
Yeah, but
and we can't solve their problem until they get processed.
But we've talked about this on the show before, not just with what you're doing, but again, because this is all right. Anything real estate related, plan ahead in long term, right? Consider yourself a couple of months out, like 6 to. If you're planning on moving or if you're planning on refinancing, you better start the process. 6. Maybe even 8 months out, so that you guys could properly set yourselves up, so you don't avoid, so you avoid losing the home, right? Or if you avoid any complications when you refinance.
Well, we talked about this before. It's like you don't want to, you don't decide to sell. I woke up I'm gonna sell my house. So,
honey,
you think
been
about
scouring Zillow this morning, and we're buying a house.
We're buying a home, and so plan all of this. That's the key about solving IRS problems. It's not the secret. There's a secret ingredient, and that's compliance.
Get in touch with you?
But the other one is planning. You have to plan this stuff, okay? And that's why people hire me, because I know how to put all these pieces together.
And if I need any help putting the pieces together, how can I get in touch?
Then you call me at 312-664-6649. Or ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
That's right. Opem Tax Resolution, ladies and gentlemen. They can't help you if you don't ask, if you don't call. So you need to get in front of this problem before you do anything. Remember, your home is your largest investment. The last thing you want to do is get caught with I'm not going to say that, but if you're going to get caught and all of a sudden you can't refinance your home and you're really stuck behind the 8 ball. So give them a call, 312-664-6649, and visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Now listen to our sponsors and come right back, because they're the lifeblood of this business here on AM560.
The Answer.